Hi, 8th grade. Welcome to Lesson 5-1, Estimate Solutions by Inspection. By the end of the lesson, I want you to be able to say, I can find the number of solutions of a system of equations by inspecting the equations. Solve and discuss it. Draw 3 pairs of lines, each showing a different way that 2 lines can intersect or not intersect. How are these pairs of lines related? Okay, so I want you on your own to draw 3 different pairs of lines. So on one, draw 1 pair of line, 2 pairs of lines, 3 pairs of lines. Pause and we will look for participation. Okay, hopefully you drew a pair of lines that intersect, a pair of lines that don't intersect, and maybe a pair of lines, this one's even hard to think of, 2 lines that are the exact same line. Those we will talk about today and for the rest of the unit. Is it possible for any of the pairs of lines to draw on to have exactly 2 points in common? Explain. There's no way to draw 2 lines that have 2 points in common, because in order for that to happen, one would have to be a straight line and one would have to be a curved line. That's how you would get those 2 points of intersection. But the curved one is not a line at all. No, because one line would not be straight. All right, example number 1. Deanna drew the pairs of lines below. Each pair of lines represents a system of linear equations. A system of linear equations is formed by 2 or more linear equations that use the same variables. So this is one of your vocab words, a system. So it's formed by 2 or more linear equations. So 2 or more lines. The lines intersect at one point. This system has one solution. Wherever they intersect, that's their solution. That's their answer. So that intersecting point happens at 1, 5. The solution of a system of linear equations is any ordered pair that makes all equations in the system true. Next, these 2 lines, they do not ever intersect. They're what is called parallel lines. This solution has no solution. This system has no solution. If they do not intersect, they do not have a solution. And then these lines are the exact same point. They are the exact same line. There's 2 lines here, even though it only looks like one. There's x plus y equals -2 and 3x plus 3y equals -6. So they intersect at every single point. That means they have infinitely many solutions. So our options are if they would have one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. Try it. How many solutions does this system of linear equations have? Explain. Okay, so we have 2 lines. I want to go back and explain something really quick. Looking at the equations here, when there was one solution, they had a different y-intercept. So the y-intercept, the b value is 4, b value is 6. So they have a different y-intercept, and they also have a different slope. Here the slope was 1, here the slope was -1. So they have a different slope and a different y-intercept. That means there is one solution. Looking at the next one, they have the same slope, but different y-intercepts. If they have the same slope and different y-intercepts, there's no solution. And last but not least, this one, if we were to solve for y equals mx plus b, this would be y equals -x minus 2. This would be 3y equals -3x minus 6. If we divide that by 3, divide everything by 3, it would be y equals -x minus 2. So they have the same slope and the same y-intercept, which means they are the same line. So looking at these two equations, are they the same line? So they're not infinite solutions. Do they have the same slope? No, so they're not no solution. So that must mean they have one solution. The equations have different slopes, so the lines intersect at one point. The equations of a system have the same slopes. What can you determine about the solution of the system of equations? So if they have the same slope, that means they're pointing in the same direction. So they either have no solution, or if they have the same slope, they could be the same line. So it could be infinite solutions. All right, example number 2. Estimate solutions of systems by equation. Inspection. Harrison and Pia each buy X comic books. Harrison also buys an action figure for $15, while Pia buys a different action figure for $12. Could they each spend the same amount, Y, and buy the same number of comic books? Explain. So they have the two equations. Y equals 5x plus 15, that's Harrison, because he buys the 5 comic books, or the X comic books for $5 each, and $15 action figure, whereas Pia buys the $5 comic books and $12 action figure. So they have the same slopes, meaning they're going in the same direction, but they have different y-intercepts, which means they start at different spots. So the system has no solution. Harrison and Pia could not spend the same amount of money and buy the same number of comic books. Example 3. Corey and Winnie each bought X pounds of cheddar cheese and Y pounds of tomatoes. Corey spent $12 at the supermarket. Winnie spent $24 at the farmer's market. Could they have bought the same amount by weight in cheddar cheese and tomatoes? Explain. So Corey spent a total of $12. That's where this 12 comes from. And he went to the supermarket. So tomatoes are $2 per pound. That's where you get the 2Y from. And cheddar cheese is $6 per pound. That's where the 6X comes from. Then Winnie spends $24. Her tomatoes are $4 a pound. And her cheddar cheese is $12 a pound. So that's where the 12X plus 4Y equal comes from. In order to do this inspection, we need to find the slope and the y-intercept of each equation. So that means we need to put it in the form y equals mx plus b. So we're trying to solve for y. So the first thing they do is subtract 6x from both sides. So subtract 6x from this side, subtract 6x. This cancels out and you bring down the 2y equals negative 6x plus 12. Then we want to solve for y, so we divide every single thing by 2. So that gives us y equals negative 3x plus 6. Same thing, we got to do it for Winnie's. So we're going to subtract 12x from both sides. And we get this to cancel out. 4y equals negative 12x plus 24. Then we divide out the 4. And y equals negative 3x plus 6. So they are the same exact line. They have the same slope. They have the same y-intercept. Since they have both of those in common, every single point on the line is a solution, meaning they did buy the same amount of cheese and tomatoes. How many solutions does each system of equations have? Explain. So here we have the same slope. That's negative 3. But now we have different y-intercepts. Since they're the same slope, they're going the same direction, but they cross the y-axis at different points. So how many solutions are there? No solution. This next one we can't figure out yet because this equation is not in the form y equals mx plus b. We want to solve for y. So to get y by itself, I need to get rid of the 15x, so I'm going to add 15x to both sides. So that cancels out, and I get 5y minus 20 equals 15x. Again, still trying to get y by itself. So I'm going to add 20 to both sides. 5y equals 15x plus 20. Last step to getting y by itself is to divide everything by 5. So that tells me y equals 3x plus 4. And that's the same exact thing as this first equation. So if it's the same exact thing, it's the same exact line, there are infinite solutions. Key concept on the next page. You can expect the slopes and y-intercepts of the equations in a system of linear equations in order to determine the number of solutions of the system. So if the slopes are different, they're 1 point. So the first thing you want to look at is slope. If they have the different slope, it's 1 solution. Then if the slopes are the same, so same slope, but the y-intercepts are different. So after you look to see if they're the same slope, you look at the y-intercept. The y-intercepts are different, there is no solution. That's like when we have two lines, they're going in the same direction, but they start at different places, so they never intersect. Then, if you have the same slope and the same y-intercept, that means it's the same line and there are infinite solutions. So this part of your notes is like the biggest help for you during your homework and your exit quiz. All right, 8th grade, let's say it. I can find the number of solutions of a system of equations by inspecting the equations. Have a great day.